edge of the universe, 400 men and women are probing the immeasurable blackness of space. Their leaders are an Earthman with no fear and a stranger with no heart. Travel beyond our time and solar system, into new galaxies, into worlds beyond your dreams. Star Trek, every week, in color.
Holy moly. It's Friday, it's noon, and we're back. We took a week off from serious Star Trek, but now we're back on that sci-fi nostalgia trip. And to guide us on our voyage, we've got none other than our Captain Fun, Larry Young, and the good doctor, Dr. John E. Price, PhD. Gentlemen.
Hey, everybody. Yeah.
How's it
I
been?
love when you were like Captain Fun, I guess.
Yes. Captain Fun.
Yeah,
Oh,
I'm
man.
looking for that. I'm looking for that doctor. I'm looking for the right name for John. Should it be the doctor? Dr. Doom and Gloom I've used. I'm looking for something like to really capture John's essence.
He's our chief folklore officer. That's how I think of him.
Yeah. Dr.
So yeah, guys, I was in Maine for a week, and we had fat pipes at the cabin, which was cool. And John Price like dropped a thing about I don't even remember the emetic and not emetic. That's peeing. Emit and emic or whatever for folklore.
Emic and Edic, yeah.
Yeah, I was like, dude, I spent like 2 hours reading about that. I was like, it's so cool how you do stuff and you don't realize that there's names for it. You know?
Yeah. Emic and Edic is an anthropological concept where emic is knowledge within a group that is just intrinsic to the group. And then Edic is knowledge outside of the group, right? So it's basically like think of emic has the word me in it, right? So the things I know is emic knowledge. Things I don't know is Edic knowledge. I'm butchering that definition. Look it up on Wikipedia.
Yeah, that's great for the regular folks. Yeah. That's a great idea. I loved it.
Beam me up.
Oh, guys,
I'm always up higher than you guys. I gotta fix my camera.
I'm way down low. I get real self-conscious about it because originally the plan was my head was going to be here, and then all of my Star Trek posters in the background. But I'm like 13 feet away, so you can't see any of the Star Trek posters. And also, I'm here instead. So it's a whole thing.
It is a thing.
Is that your official screen used Star Trek 5 sweater vest behind you?
God, I wish. That would be awesome.
I got my
Star Trek 5 is a beautiful movie, and I will write that essay one day. I will.
I think you're right in a lot of ways. Like the costume design, remember so too. The on-Earth costumes that they wore were pretty. I remember them being pretty cool.
Yeah, I agree. Star Trek 5 is a great movie.
I love Dave Porter in the background telling us, hey, get green screen and virtual background like the high-quality production values I have on mine.
I actually have a green screen. My beautiful wife, who I love very much, every once in a while watches the show, bought me a green screen, but I haven't set it up because I'm lazy.
I have a green screen. I just don't know what to do with it. That's for my kid does it, so...
I'm gonna get one. I'm thinking of installing one soon here, but like, there's no room with the antimatter generators and
right.
Sure.
I mean,
yeah,
you got to get beta shift on it. You know?
I love Dave. He's so Canadian. I'm just trying to help, guys. I'm like, we're not making fun of you, man. Thank you. You're awesome.
This is a Dave Porter right here.
I love his
Dave Porter original.
I love his 3D.
Zoom in on my breast.
Oh yeah.
You're like, oh, I love Dave Porter.
This is a Dave Porter right here.
That's nice.
Quality work. I'm just petting it.
Yikes.
Speaking of quality work, hang on a second. Now,
there she is, the queen herself.
You brought up Star Trek 5 too, one of the best Uhura moments of all time. It has to be.
This is a screenshot.
I love the James Bond movie poster you got going there. Just look up, John.
Oh, hey now, come on. That's terrible. man, look at that hemline. Look at that hemline on the outfits. I love it.
Something else, man.
Go there.
I love
You
that.
know, everyone calls like. Can I rant for a second? Everyone wants to talk about how Star Trek: The Original Series is, oh, it's so sexist and it's in the '60s and blah 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 blah. Yes, it has skimpy skirts. Also, it has some very strong, powerful women in it. Like Uhura, I did a top 5 Uhura moments, right? And 10 people clicked on it, and I'm very appreciative of those 10 people. But in it, you try to elaborate the point that, like, look, Uhura was not just, eye candy. Quite the opposite. She was a very integral part of the bridge crew, to the point where, Mantrap is the very first episode that anyone saw. Oh, it wasn't the first episode made. I don't give a fuck. It was the very first episode anyone saw, right? And how does Mantrap start? It starts with a captain's log by Kirk, right? And they do a little Kirk thing on the planet. Then they cut to the bridge, and the first shot of the bridge you ever get is Spock in the chair and Uhura at the con. Right away, they're giving you that visual of Uhura is a very competent. That's it right there. That's it right there. And so you got Leslie over there, But Uhura is not just a nobody. She's not just the token black lady that they put on there. We can criticize TOS for a whole bunch of reasons, but we have to celebrate the fact that they were intentionally groundbreaking in so many ways.
To the point that the early episodes in production, she's wearing gold. They intend that she's on command track. I mean, in Corbomite Maneuver, she's bossing people around. Yeah, they have. I just love it. I love how obviously intentional, but it's the really accomplished magician making a really hard trick look easy. You know, it's like they don't bring any attention to it at all. It's just how it is, right? And that's
they don't have a 20-minute soliloquy about representation.
That's great. I hate the kids nowadays that say that. It's like you have to watch this stuff in context. Yeah. It's like, they had mini skirts, but it was the 60s. Like Scotty was drinking booze all the time. It's story point that he gets the Andromedans drunk, right? Yeah. Like I don't know.
Well, I thought your point about Mirror, John, which I know you hate the mirror universe.
Well, I thought it was the mirror universe, but I love the episode. Yes. Mirror is a great episode.
It's what they did after that you have a problem with, right?
But you're right. Uhura, she got thrown right into the lion's den on that episode and was able to just like adapt, use her skills, do what she had to do, like hold her own against. I love lecherous Mir Sulu. He's the greatest.
Yeah. I love it. And it's kind of a story point, though, that it's easier, as Spock says it, it's easier for cultured people to act as barbarians than it is barbarians to act as cultured people. To the point where Spock is no different. And Uhura and Scotty are just like, well, we're just doing our jobs anyway. So we're getting paid in Quatlus instead of credits now. Who gives a shit? And I'm still going to engineering. I love that. That was great.
Well, and they very easily could have had Uhura play the damsel in distress and be like, "Oh my God, save me, Captain Kirk! I don't know what I'm doing." Yeah. But instead, Uhura just goes straight to the bridge and is like, "Fuck around and find out."
I think this is the one thing I have to say about Uhura as a character. I fucking love in City on the Edge of Forever, where shit is going sideways in the most epic cosmic time travel way possible, and she's like, "Hey, I hope that works out, everybody. Peace and long life, or happiness at least, whatever." And I'm like, that is a really stable and accomplished line to give what is a secondary character. But that's the stuff that the original series did effortlessly. Yeah, that somehow people don't know how to write for TV anymore,
and they don't appreciate it. They just don't appreciate it anymore. It's crazy to me. But I mean, and in the movies, she's got the obviously she's got the fan dance everyone wants to talk about. But what's Star Trek 3? What does she call the guy? She calls the guy Mr. Universe, whatever.
Yeah, the big muscle
uh,
guy. Yeah, I think it is Mr. Universe.
What the hell does she say?
Yeah.
I don't remember what she says. Someone in the comments need to help me out because I'm distracted.
Is your dog eating something?
Who wouldn't be with Fox?
No,
I love the whole, like, in series 2 of the original series, that the hemlines seem to get shorter, and everybody in the modern day has something to say about that, when it's just that they washed them and they shrunk.
Yeah.
It's like nobody cares that Kirk's sleeve is going up, right?
Right. He's wearing capri pants,
It's like, that's just what happened. Oh, Mr. Adventure. Of course,
Mr. Adventure, that's right. That's right. It's easy for you to say someone in the twilight of their career, winding down, whatever the fuck he says.
Are we going to see the return of the miniskirt, you think? Now that Strange New Worlds is officially the most watched Star Trek show.
We're going to talk about that.
Yeah,
right?
We can
talk about that.
Segue into that one. That's fine.
It's official, and it's got our new Uhura, who really has a lot in common with Nichelle Nichols in the fact that she's like a campy kind of musical actress. Like Nichelle, she wanted to sing any chance she could get. She got a couple of chances in Star Trek, and I've got some other videos that I'll at least point us to later. You can check out Nichelle singing along with.
I think it's I'm sorry, I don't mean to interrupt. I just want to get this point out there real quick. Uhura, interestingly enough, is not African American. She is African. So, the idea of representation and everything, it's like she's not just a black woman in the 60s. She's an African woman in the 60s.
True.
So I mean, it's not even like she's, a kind of, I mean, again, when you're writing, you can very easily fall into stereotypes and tropes and everything. But like, she's not even a stereotypical or tropic kind of token black woman, black secondary character. She's she's African. She speaks Swahili. Her native language is Swahili. Like, it's steps above and beyond what people give her credit for.
I love they did that with Mbenga.
Although in the new series,
they did that with Mbenga too. It's like they're the guys aren't named, Roosevelt Franklin or Leroy Jenkins or whatever, right?
Red Fox,
it's like, these guys are, That's just the difference between people that understand Star Trek and people who just start.
I just think it's a really interesting kind of a creative choice where it's like, we're not even going to go with a guy from Atlanta. No, this chick's from Kenya, or whatever country. You know what I mean? Like, it's we're not even going there. So anyway,
what was the part we were gonna track? Because you guys know that I'm all into marketing and promotions, and
yes, the most PR statement in the history of PR.
Price has got folklore covered, and this is like a cool overlap of just using words to do Jedi mind tricks with the kids, because even I didn't get that right away, where it's like, oh, it's the most watched Star Trek, and you broke it down. You're like, yeah, well, that's great, because there's only been one Star Trek show on Paramount Plus. So congrats, everybody. Drinks all around.
Yeah, so, Prodigy debuted on Paramount Plus, and Strange New Worlds debuted on Paramount Plus. So the verbiage of this is the most watched debut of a Star Trek that has premiered on Paramount Plus is very, very specific and the most corporate fucking PR thing you could ever type out. And I love the backlash because it went over so many people's heads, where on Twitter there was this whole like, oh, what are the haters gonna say now? Oh, blah blah blah. And it's like, you people, you're just telling on yourselves. You're illiterate. You're media illiterate. You're PR illiterate. You're fucking culturally illiterate. You're goddamn English illiterate. You're fucking everything.
That's what
I forgot though. So Discovery and stuff, those came out on Netflix. Like, was
CBS,
All
CBS
Access.
All Access.
Oh yeah, CBS All
and
Access.
actually, Discovery premiered on CBS proper.
It was, yeah. It did come
for
out on that before.
The first half of the premiere episode, like a bunch of morons, was on CBS.
Like on the CBS network.
Yeah, like Channel 2. Yeah, like yeah.
And then didn't they show the second part during the Super Bowl or some dumb shit?
It was something stupid like that.
You're giving me PTSD because I've tried to
I don't want
erase
to think about it. I
all
really
that
don't want to think
crap
about
from
it.
my memory. It's like,
but yeah, the rest of them were CBS All Access. Now, if they want, I saw one of the hack shill websites was like, well, if you assume that they also mean CBS All Access, that's pretty impressive. And I'm like, you can't assume that.
even if you
can't
do
assume they
that,
also mean CBS All Access. Because those are two different platforms, and the wording was so specific.
But even if you do assume just all modern Star Trek, it's not really that big of a shock.
No.
This one's good, and all the other ones sucked, right? Or are cartoons, because I consider Lower Decks amazing. But like, that's just going to have a smaller audience by definition of the format. I mean, it's no,
And I saw someone else on Twitter. I forget who it was. Someone else on Twitter brought out the really great point that when 1883, whatever that show's called, 1883,
I think, the Yellowstone
prequel, whatever it is, the Yellowstone prequel.
Yeah,
they released the numbers because it was such an impressive #1 all-time Paramount premiere. Like they wanted people to know exactly how many people were watching that show. They released the numbers. It was like 9 million or some bullshit like that. I don't remember. But so they're capable of releasing numbers, and they're not.
So that tells you, right? Yeah.
I think it's pretty interesting because now in the days of streaming, it used to be the ratings were far from perfect, so far from imperfect, right? If you know about the way the Nielsen ratings were compiled for all those decades, it's like insanity. You had to reach such a huge, broad audience. Now it's impossible. And each one of these networks, though, has super detailed, accurate analytics about who's watching what and why, right down to right down to like the second by second, minute by minute.
Absolutely.
Dropping out and why. Like they have access to all that kind of data now. And it seems like maybe they're learning their lesson. It seems like it took them all these years to pivot back to what makes Star Trek great again. Now they kind of have started the ball rolling again. They've got the picture. But what surprises me a lot is why is it not on TV? Like, why is Star Trek Strange New World should just be on every week on CBS network? Like, even if it debuted a week later than streaming or something like that. Like,
you answered your own question, though.
Yeah.
The reason it's not is because there's already a placement, something in place that tells the numbers, and they don't want those numbers getting out. Because now they can say Star Trek's our flagship thing, it's the biggest thing ever, and it's the three of us and Chris Sagasag watching, right?
Great point.
So they don't have to prove it, but once you get on the oh dang, it's 84 out of 100 with a 3 audience share, then it's they kind of teased it to see that with the first 2 things of CBS All Access wasn't really, they hedged their bets and the ratings weren't that great.
I was gonna say they tried to do that with Discovery season 2, and it got like 0 ratings.
Nobody cared.
It was like 98th out of 100 or whatever the stupid statistic
whatever it was.
Yeah, it was. It bombed completely. And to be fair, it would bomb because anyone who wanted to see it has already seen it.
Yeah, you saw it already. Yeah,
right.
That's just more of CBS just didn't know what they're doing, but now they do.
But also, do you miss the transparency, though, of a third-party rate? Because I don't think that helped at all. I think it honestly killed a lot of series like Stillborn that didn't have time to develop audiences and stuff like that. Whereas now once it's online, it's there ostensibly on Netflix. If it's like produced by Netflix, it's there. It's going to be there. As long as there's a Netflix, that show is going to be available.
Maybe, but I mean, they still have the ability to remove stuff. I mean,
I'm
but
old.
I agree with you that it did definitely. The Nielsen definitely did preemptively kill a bunch of shows that probably could have been good. I agree with that.
I'm so old that I was 13 when Logan's Run came out, and you get word of mouth. I remember this very clearly because I was in what grade you're in when you're 13, and one of my buddies went to go see it. I'm like, they shoot people with exploding guns. There's boobs and drugs everywhere. You have to go see this. And nobody cared that what it made for the first opening weekend, and that was a thing for the adults to care about, And now everybody's got an idea of who should be playing Superman based on audience metrics, and it's you're just parroting something you read online somewhere. You don't have expertise in this, so I kind of don't pay attention to that kind of thing.
Yeah, when you have the normies in the crowd, being well, if you include the marketing budget, it's actually not that much of a it's dude, you don't know what you're talking about.
We have that problem with the For All Mankind audience. So a whole bunch of normal people love that show because of the alternate history, and it's
it's great.
I can't read the message boards. I just can't. It's
tough. It's real tough.
You people just don't understand what you're saying.
It's real tough.
Larry is so old.
Yeah.
We tried to watch For All Mankind last night, and it said wasn't available until the 12th.
Oh, really? On Apple TV?
Yeah, we tried. We had our Chinese food, and we were ready to go. Excuse me, Thai food, and we were ready to go. And no.
That's probably just Virginia.
Probably.
Because I watched it, so
I know everybody watched it.
I don't have any secret thing.
Why isn't this available? I don't know. I didn't get it.
Jeez, I wonder.
So we watched 90 Day Fiance instead.
It's kind of the same show when you think about it.
It's the equivalent. Guys, what do you think about this comment here? R.I.P. Sharoon Abu Akleh, by the way, a Palestinian journalist who was murdered by the Israeli government.
Looks like it was murdered by Nelson Mandela, right?
Yeah. We're mixing our heroes here, but Star Trek shows the achievement of a cashless, classless society, which is terrifying to the oligarchic class. I'm going to disagree with this in the sense that they replaced economic class with military hierarchy in the future.
I'm so against bringing real world politics into Star Trek because it's not the military. It's it's a teenage boy's adolescent fantasy of how you need to have rank structure when you're going to kiss green girls. You know what I mean? It's everybody puts so much stuff on it. It's not a cashless society because you have Ferengi, being pimps and throwing gold latinum around. It's not classless because ambassadors are revered more than Ben Finney, and it's. Whenever I see a thing like that, I always think, well, your parents really they must be happy that you got your Bachelor of Arts degree finally after 7 years, because it's hey. I was like, Bryce is going to take that like a drive-by on the academic class. I don't mean it that way. I just mean that you can get really down in there like that, but at the end of it, you're using something big to swat something small. If only there was some kind of metaphor I could think of.
Yeah, I think it's interesting because if anything, Star Trek proves that there will always be an oligarchy no matter what you try to do. It's a society.
Totally.
I mean, because there are, however you measure rank or privilege or social status, there is a very clear delineation of social status in Star Trek. Whether it's Jean-Luc Picard can do whatever he wants on his ancient traditional vineyard that's worked by not slaves, or like you said, ambassadors are more revered. Whatever the metric is, I think ironically enough, the push to believe Star Trek shows, or at least the next generation version of Star Trek shows, a kind of socialist utopia, it just reinforces the point that there will always be people in charge taking advantage of that utopia.
I love if I had a Thanos snap that rewarded people instead of destroyed lives, I would snap for you all day long, man, because you shitted out this Facebook post once that has never left my brain about how Star Trek is not a utopia. Like all the fans need to shut up. It's like people,
really not.
It's humankind trying to do their best. They're trying to work towards a utopia, but it's not, and it can't be because mankind are a bunch of rat fuckers, and it's always going to be that way. But if you do your best, you put a good coat of paint on the rot, and that's all you can do, man. Yeah. And people just don't understand that. Anyway,
well, Star Trek
works on
the assumption that most people are good, whereas the alt universe that we live in is most people are bad. That's how I'll put it. So it seems foreign to us because we live in a world where most people are bad and selfish. And I won't even say bad as in breaking the law, but like selfish and self-interested. And Star Trek assumes a world where most humans are selfless and interested in the common good. That's how I would put it.
Yeah. I think most self-interest isn't bad as long as you have self-awareness about it, right? Like everybody has goals they want to achieve, and that's great. But Star Trek is like the most people agree on what the goal is that they want to move towards. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm just saying the same thing you did. What a shock. I agree with John.
I hate to disagree with you. Actually, I love to disagree with you guys. I take that
Bring it on.
I do really feel that like the whole military veneer, call it what you will, of the Star Trek universe comes from Roddenberry and his military service and like his vision of the universe, which was somewhat Heinlein-esque in the sense that they both came from these military backgrounds and they saw like military structure and rigor and discipline and hierarchy as like the solution to what ails humanity. And it's like it's strength through service. It's it's really fascist ideology to me.
That's not what Star Trek does at all, though. It's like it's they have photon torpedoes and phasers because everybody else is a dick. What are you supposed to just do? Take it, And
but that's very filtered through the America First, patriotic. Like lens that those guys would have come from is what I'm saying.
But what
very much an us against them scenario.
But then there's context, right? Like it's JFK in space, it's Camelot in space. That's just what was going on then. And so now, if you did Star Trek, you might not do the paramilitary thing, and it would be a corporate structure, right?
Yeah.
So I mean, you have to have a guy that says we're going over there. You just have to, right? Even, whether it's everyone agrees on it, like that Dev Patel character or whatever his name is in For All Mankind. You need somebody that the tribe goes, all right, yeah, that's a good idea. Let's build a bridge over the river, right? Do you have security there so the guys on the other side don't like wreck your bridge? You kind of have to, right? Because like what John said, some people are dicks, and it's just. At the end of it, this is what it just makes me so sad. The end of it, it's storytelling. You have to have an antagonist if you have a protagonist.
Agreed.
You have to have a goal that you want to achieve, and it has to have a plan to get there. And okay, so guys, you have naval ranks. All right, it might as well be.
I think it also takes a clear military genre of military films and gives you an easy translation into a sci-fi concept that. Like you can't truly, you had to put it in the context of 1960, whatever, of the, coming out of World War II and going into where we were politically and militarily. But I do say that we were still in the midst of like essentially new colonialism and like American expansionism and, might makes right. And we have morals. It's our moral superiority that allows us to do these monstrous things. And I think that sort of translates into where, like, they got away from nation states, but it really is about, loyalty to Starfleet.
I think the closest example for you, Dan, would be in Deep Space Nine, the character of Nog. And how does Nog start? Right? Nog, is that his name? Yeah, Nog. Right? He starts off as the Ferengi kid, right? He starts off as this street thug who's breaking into businesses and stealing shit, right? And then they try to become friends with Cisco's kid, right? And then he's still not fully accepted. How does he become accepted into this society? By joining the military and by serving in the war, right? That's how he becomes accepted. I think that would probably be the closest example for you for this kind of like Starfleet imperialism undertone.
Which sounds great when you believe that what your military is doing is just. Like if you're a super patriotic American, you're like, yes, I fight for the army. Nothing the military can do is wrong. I feel like Starfleet probably does a lot of things that are wrong, like overall to other civilizations and planets and stuff. But it's sort of like, yeah, it's justified in society.
And to the credit of DS9 writers, they gave Nog that Vietnam moment where he loses his leg and he questions. He's like, "What the hell am I doing? Like, what did I fight for? Who am I fighting for?" Right. So they gave him all that in a couple episodes there. So again, I don't think it's a terribly obscene analogy. I think it's a lot more relevant to the later series, though. TOS is. I think you made the point earlier. It's they put it in a military structure because that's the language of the audience. The language of the audience is, I understand a ship has a captain. Okay, here we go.
I keep thinking contextually, like Jacques Cousteau had spear guns on the Calypso. You know what I mean? It's you just need weapons, man.
Yeah.
The thing is, there really was, though, still until Next Generation. We've talked about this before. Like it's not a wealthless society. Like there is a limited resource. There's a thing called dilithium crystals that without which you cannot travel through interstellarly, right? So they are the true like motivating factor of the entire original series in my world. Like it's all about the quest for dilithium, and so that's why I love the original series, and separate Next Generation because of that distinction as like a philosophically there we're going in that was truly post scarcity, post wealth world in Next Generation.
Yeah, and with the dilithium, Mirror is one of those dilithium episodes, and the whole philosophical point of that episode is, we go down and we want your resources, but we're the good guys. Versus they want your resources and they're the bad guys, right?
True.
Right. There's a way to take your resources.
Yeah. I think RIP here has a really interesting comment that I wonder if literally anyone else will understand.
Which one?
In the audience.
The economic
base. The reciprocal relationship between the economic base and the superstructure certainly breeds depravity. Sure sounds like someone's a Marxist.
I just read that. I was like, Pink Bear.
Yeah,
I love it because I feel like all that analysis is critical, is really spot on for the original series again, because like,
well, you can, I mean,
there was racism in there. Yeah. There was racism against like the Klingons, and there was like, there were so many like we're supposed to be post whatever, but it's really is like, okay, now the humans are together, and now it's sort of like, if you're in our economic interests, then you're with us. We're with you in the Federation. But if you're not,
it's just a function of,
if you're vying for those same economic resources, then you're evil. What I just don't think.
I don't know if I would call it racism so much. It's actually ironically, it's somewhat like predates the neocons a little bit. Where the neocons are like, I don't care if you're gay, straight, black, white, I don't give a shit as long as you want us to bomb the Middle East. you know, or whatever, you know, like that's the Neogon point of view. That's a lot more closer, I think, to the Federation point of view, where it's like,
that's the
I don't care if you're
Federation.
Vulcan, I don't care if you're Klingon, I don't give a shit what you are, as long as you're okay with us taking the dilithium, you know.
As long as you're on board with our quest for dilithium, and
Right.
anyone who wants it, who's not with us, is a bad guy.
That's a good paper. Dan, we should write a paper.
That's not what Star Trek is about, though. The Federation and Starfleet is not about the quest for dilithium. They're just smart packlids, right? They're on the quest for knowledge. They say it in the beginning, in the best mission statement ever written, that it's new civilizations, man. It's knowledge. It's
great propaganda, killer propaganda.
But every episode isn't like we look for things and things to make us go, right? That's not what it is. And that's what you're saying, that it's the quest for dilithium. It's not.
Well, no, I go the underlying dynamic being, we find new civilizations because we see warp signatures. Space is so gigantic, we can't explore everywhere. Even in this world, even with light speed, you can't go everywhere. So you see warp signatures, you seek them out because you know there's dilithium there.
When did they say that? They didn't say that, not once in the original series.
They never.
We're looking for warp signatures. No, we're looking for new life and new civilizations, and we're just boldly going because.
Yeah, to be fair, TOS doesn't give a shit if you're warp capable.
And so like, everything after it's like
this planet of native Indians. Let's go down there and
Right, well, fight the white gorilla guy.
But even then, there was the notion that like they're not advanced enough, and we shouldn't interfere with their civilization until they're advanced enough. But what does that mean? That means unless they have dilithium, we don't care.
Wow.
You know, it's like current U.S. policy. We go to places where there are resources for us to exploit. Right?
Well, that's not U.S.
Show us on the doll where Star Trek raped you. It's like, just not like that, man. It's big green hands holding, Apollo's hand and Space Lincoln, and there's just when people start going into that, I kind of think about Danny Stevens. That guy needs to die. I'm with Chris Sagasai.
So true.
Well, Larry, I know this is a triggering thing for you. I feel like
I'm not triggered about that. I don't like it when people go, hey, this cupcake needs to be nutritional. That's not the point of the cupcake. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's a 1960s dramatic show that's trying to talk about cool stuff with ray guns. It's a Western in space. Nobody's talking about the Big Valley or the Wide Chaparral or Bonanza or whichever one you liked, where like, oh, look, here's the white guy coming to crush everybody. And did you see the Indians are played by this Italian guy, and like, boy, F Troop is amazing. It's like, no, the 60s were fucked up, guys. That's everybody was doing drugs and boning.
It's a fun time.
Come on. At some point you have to go, all the stuff that you were having. I'm not even disagreeing with you. I actually agree with like 90% of your points. And that's as bad as that anybody ever gets with me. But it's all after. It's stuff that people have clodged onto.
No, 100%.
Yeah.
There's no way in my mind it was created with that intention.
Right.
But it was created with the whole set of circumstances and the upbringing of Roddenberry and where America was at the moment.
But that's what Price said, though, that it's the expectation of the audience. A ship needs a captain. A show needs a star. You know what I mean? It's like...
And then you get Spock and you don't know what to do.
When you flatten the hierarchy on a military show, what do? You get the new Star Trek show, right? Where you're kind of joking around with asking your engineers, what do you think about this? How about maybe?
I had a giant problem with that at first, but now I'm kind of at the end of the season. They totally sold me on it because he had a couple scenes where it's like, hey, what's everybody think? Yeah, that's fucking stupid. Let's go over here. It's like more like and that's more the corporate thing. It's like, hey, he's running a meeting. I want to make sure all my department heads feel like they're heard, but that guy's got to go. I'm sorry. So they gave him a couple of those, and I'm like, all right, I get what they're doing.
Okay. Yes. Well, speaking of corporations, this was another point. Do we think, is there still capitalism let's keep it to original series. Like, because in the latest series, I remember Pike mentions when they're going to talk to that race, the empathy episode, he goes, you want access to our markets, to Federation markets for your products and innovations. He said something along those lines, which makes me think, like, why not? Like, there's still going to be like a room for artists, for scientists to come up with new things and a way to monetize that and make money. Otherwise, I don't think society would still function.
I think it's the planets. There's tons of planets in the Federation, right? Just because Earth is more like, we got most of this stuff covered and we get to do what we want. Okay, that's Earth though, right? Okay, the Federation is kind of Earth-centric, but yeah, of course there's markets where you can go and get food, and that's just, you don't just get to take what you want. You have to, sing for your supper in some way, right? But I don't think in the original series they made a point of that at all. In fact, they were more worried about the growth of people, right? Like, I love bringing it back to Uhura. I love when she says to Lincoln, it's like, why would we don't fear words. Like, so we have words. We don't fear them. We have money. We just don't make a big deal about it. We have capitalism. It's just, that's cute. When we look at our hemlines, that's what we're about now. And it takes me 2 hours to get this hair done. Can you believe it? You know what I mean? It's like, if that's the granular stuff you're looking at, you might as well be John Cooley saying, that's not a proper insignia. That's another badge. It's like, it's cool if you're into that, but that's not what the show's about,
I think it you have to keep the analogy going.
Besides,
where
there's Quatloos. Of course there's money.
Yeah,
of course
you have to keep the analogy going where this is Napoleonic warfare, right? So it doesn't have to be capitalism and industrialized capitalism, as it can be much more closer to mercantilism and kind of a sea-based trading. Effectively, that's what you're going for, right?
Yeah. Man, that's why I love Moby Dick. It's like the best Star Trek episode ever.
Yeah, it's pretty good one.
The ships meeting out in the thing, and you trade information, and that's all. I don't know. That's why I like Star Trek. It's like they're going to do cool stuff.
No, never mind.
Uh-oh.
I can't say it.
What I also liked is how Nichelle Nichols went on to like be such a role model and do all kinds of cool stuff. She did that. She did a recruitment film for NASA. I'm sure we've all heard of that.
Yeah. I mean, Mae Jemison like straight up says, yeah, her is one of my heroes. I mean,
I loved all the press when they were like, no, come and be a transporter chief for 2 seconds. And because you know what? Mae Jemison had a bunch of kids get into NASA too, because uh-oh, here we go.
I got the sound off, guys, so we could just talk about it a little bit if you want.
I mean, I don't think it should be.
I don't want to get busted for the Enterprise, for the Star Trek.
Do you think the 11 guys watching know who Mae Jemison is, actually, Price?
This is great. This is an actual
20th century enterprise. An actual space vehicle built by NASA and designed to put us in the business of space, not merely space exploration.
So this is 1977, guys, and this is an official NASA recruitment film, but it's pretty good. They take Nichelle through like some of the different training scenarios and stuff, and it's all very realistic, meant towards like recruiting people to NASA. I thought it's really well done. Doesn't play up the Star Trek stuff too much,
but you don't have to, because she's so tied to it, where it's all of a sudden you have these individuals who become signifiers for Star Trek itself.
I just look at stuff like this and think, I hope she got to keep that flight suit. That's awesome.
Yeah, right? I want those patches.
Yeah. Oh, man. Oh, never mind. I'll talk to you later.
Right, sorry.
Yeah.
Super sweet. So this was a cool video. Really great. Brought a lot of people in touch with NASA and the real quest.
Man, NASA dropped the ball so hard in the 70s and 80s. And then, of course, you know, I don't even want to talk about the finale of NASA. But I mean, they just, you know, you have the whole country is involved with the Apollo program. And then they followed up with Skylab, which I understand. And then we get everyone excited about the space shuttle. And then they just stop. And don't give me all this nonsense about, oh, they're developing, blah, blah, blah. No, we needed a space shuttle, second generation. We should be on our fourth generation space shuttle at this point. Like, they just dropped the ball. And I don't want to hear they didn't have the money. I don't want to hear all that bullshit. Like, they just dropped the ball. I'll never forgive NASA.
The Russians beat us in the space race. They beat us. They beat us in the sprint. And they beat us in the long haul.
That's not true. That's not even close to true.
Because to this day, wait a minute. To this day, if we want to go to the International Space Station,
not soon.
We're going on a space rocket. What's going on? 15, 20 years.
What's going on now is not a space race, Dan. That's where once Korolev died, America won the space race. The space race was over.
If NASA should have died, the Russians gave up.
The Russians kept going. Here's the thing, guys.
They kept going with it. It'd be like us sending Apollo up to the ISS. Like they haven't done new Soyuz. Like it's just all Soyuz. Anyway, they're done with the ISS. It works. They're going to build their own space station with China, and we're going to blow them out of the fucking sky. That's what we're going to do. America.
If the mission was to get people reliably to and from outer space,
that's not the mission.
Space shuttle. The space shuttle. That's not the mission. But that's the real. But that's the business of space, and that's where we're going now. And that's where Russia, like, dude, they were the only ones. Who cares about the moon? Who cares? Like the moon, I get it.
I care about the moon.
It's
Lyndon Johnson cares about the moon.
To me, it was a difference in approach between the engineering teams and what the mission was. They were almost aiming for different things. For the propaganda value, NASA won. But for the ability of like keeping the pipeline of moving into outer space, keeping research going in outer space, being able to launch satellites and stuff like that, it was the Soyuz and it was the Russians.
That's not even close to what are you talking about?
It's not even close.
No. Nope.
So tell me where I'm wrong, guys. When we want to get into outer space right now to the ISS.
Well, look, I will never defend the decision to kill the space shuttle program and not have a successor. I will never defend that decision, Barack Obama. But the idea, the space shuttle was leaps and bounds. Dude, they stole the space shuttle and tried to make Buran, and it was a complete disaster. Like, they couldn't do it. That's why they're using Soyuz. That's why they're using their goddamn Gemini capsules to get up to the ISS. It
depends on what you're talking about. Like, I just think Dan's talking about a guy from the point of view of a guy who reads the papers. And it may very well look like that to Dan. I'm not saying he's wrong. It's just that what you're saying isn't anything close to true. Because if you're looking at it as manned exploration and like, oh, we have the ability to do that. We have the ability to do that too. We just don't. Like, it's like we have 3 private space capable businesses now. Russia has nothing. It's like
Russia has a war they're losing.
I mean, just from that point of view, like we won a space race, but we won it back in, the mid 70s. Because
July 20th, 1969.
Well, that's the propaganda date, right? I'm with you on that. But
where's my flag?
Our technology is so far beyond any other nation on the planet for space stuff. It's not even funny, to the point where the guy who got his money from PayPal is better than a space bearing thing.
Well, yeah, now we're privatized.
All of China, right?
Now we're privatized, and we're moving towards a corporatocratized, however you want to say it, conquest of space. We're headed towards down the aliens timeline, not down the Star Trek timeline.
We're definitely headed toward aliens. I mean, I think our best case is the Expanse. where everything is awful.
I gotta watch that goddamn show.
I gotta tell you, Larry. I gotta tell you. Look. The first season is a little slow. You got to get into it. Like, it's very much a big story. But once you get into it, you're going to fucking love it.
I see all the props and costumes. And I'm like, why am I not watching
It's
this
so
show?
good.
It's more, it's like, you know, everybody, when I was a kid, everybody goes, oh, you got to listen to Led Zeppelin. And it's like, I'm sick of hearing about fucking Led Zeppelin. And it's like one of the best bands ever.
Right.
So I think I'm just once I gotta drop the needle on Houses of the Holy for The Expanse, and then I'll be like the biggest fan ever.
See, in my engineering career, I would always tell the story. You guys probably heard it, the Fisher Space Pen story, right? About how we spent $1 million to develop the Fisher Space Pen so that you could write upside down in space, and the Russians just brought pencils, right? And it was like a different, it was like a very like pragmatic approach towards space.
Can I tell you a cool thing? Price probably knows this, but the Americans are like, let's have a functional spacesuit where we can use this as a spaceship that you can wear, protect our guys. We have a lot of stuff. The fucking Russians made a big sack that you had to crawl in through a tube of canvas and get all situated, and then they just knotted it at the front and went, good luck, Ivan. Like,
that's badass.
That's a completely different philosophy.
It's badass is what it is.
Badass.
Yeah, I guess. If you don't care about human life.
They didn't. They clearly didn't. But
so
like,
clearly did not.
But like they were worried about getting there first. They don't care how many dogs or chimps or whatever they had to blow through to get there. And I just think that I'm only just strictly judging it by the fact that like the space shuttle program kind of petered out, as we just talked about, and like the Russians are still moving stuff into outer space. I think the next chapter is going to be what you said, corporatized, probably American companies, but also the Chinese are coming up with a hell of a space program as well. And the Indians actually have plans to go to the moon too.
So do you know anything about the taikonauts and the Chinese stuff other than...
No.
Yeah, they don't have a hell of a space program. Just take my word for it. Their first manned launch was, kind of an Apollo-esque thing with 3 seats, and they put one guy in the middle seat and 2 150-pound bags of rice for weight.
Nice.
Like, that's not a space program, man. You have consumables and stuff for one guy, not 3. So what are you doing? Like, China's not going to be.
China's such an interesting thing because they love this idea of projecting success, but they have no issues whatsoever taking as many shortcuts as possible, right? Like their aircraft carrier, they bought from Russia because it was decrepit. They put new paint on it. It doesn't work, but they put paint on it and said, "Hey, we have an aircraft carrier
Look what
now."
we got. Yeah.
It's like, I feel like that
Fake it
wouldn't
till you make
surprise
it,
me at
baby.
all. I mean, right, kind of, yeah. Fake it till you make it, yeah.
Chinese have such a long view on where they're going, like as a society, they have such a longer, like continuous length of like change, and just they don't care about this generation so much as they just care about the trajectory of their vector, and it's clear theirs is going up. U.S. power is definitely waning.
I don't know how clear that is.
Yeah, poor Tom Mugen died too quickly to tell you about China.
Poor Tom.
You guys know Andrew Federer's had 102-degree fever for like 10 days.
Yeah, what's up with that? We need to talk about.
So, like, reading his quotes are hilarious.
Andrew, we need to talk, buddy. What is going on?
Sorry about my typos, and I like cheese. It's like, come on, Andrew. I kind of don't want to ask him what's wrong because I love looking at his pictures of his feet in a bathtub. It's like, wow, Quentin Tarantino's got Andrew Federer on speed dial right now.
Yeah.
So what you guys saying is I'm believing the hype from these other countries' space programs.
Yeah, it's nonsense.
And that
well, it's fun. Look, I mean, how do I put this? I want everyone to succeed. I want Star Trek. Like, I want that to happen. That would require a lot of success from a lot of different angles. The issue is the motivations of those places are not always. And yes, this is my Orientalist American exceptionalism coming out, as RIP mentioned. It is, but at the same time, yeah, you know, the Federation believes they're getting dilithium for the right reasons.
Yeah, I mean, you can have a point of view and while recognizing everybody else's, but still advancing your own. I don't really get the big
like. What's the point of
ding
going
there.
to the moon? Is the point of going to the moon for scientific advancement, or is it for to build resource extracting and build territorial walls? Because China wants to build territorial walls. America went to the moon and was like, "Hey, isn't this cool?"
Yeah,
And
pain
never
and
went
peace
back.
for all mankind. No, nobody.
Yeah,
So
it's a precursor to resource extraction, and that's
now
all it
you want
is.
to talk about resource?
It would have happened
extraction,
before now.
We got to
if
get
that was
those
the thing.
asteroids. The asteroids are where the resources are.
Right,
Yeah.
I
totally.
mean, fucking take those things out of there. Get an asteroid the size of Texas that's just nothing but diamonds. Yeah, let's get that motherfucker in there.
That's the thing. The moon is not resource extraction because if it was, that would have happened before now.
Yeah,
No. Yeah, it's
Right?
the camp. It's the camp. It's where you set base camp. It's where we learn to survive on another celestial body, right? But so that we can get to that next, then we can get to Mars, and then we can get to wherever. Like, if we believe all this sci-fi stuff, it's got to start with those little steps.
Well, it's to take us back to the most beautiful Star Trek movie, Star Trek V. Why is Captain Kirk climbing the mountain? Because it's there.
Because it was laundry day and his shirt said go climb a rock. And he's like,
because he's in love.
Let's go do it. I think I hear my kid coming down.
Because he's making his directorial debut. That's why.
Yeah. Yeah. Because it's awesome.
You know what?
I love Mario says this.
America. That's why.
Mario says the real problem is there's nothing in space worth going after.
Oh,
like
Mario.
that's just I don't even know what to
Mario,
say.
come on.
I think the real thing is faster than light travel is probably completely impossible.
Yes.
So like we're never going to get to intergalactic space travel. It's just not going to happen in humanity's lifetime. But you know, we could get close to light speed. Maybe we could get a few light seconds away or a few light minutes away from the Earth. Maybe
we can make intersolar system travel relatively painless. Like, hey, maybe it takes a couple of days to get to Jupiter or whatever the fuck. But yeah, I think interstellar or intergalactic, it's not going to happen. That doesn't mean we should stop trying. This is the point. This is America. We have goals, and we want to achieve those goals.
I'm with Feder and his fever. 2 words: quantum entanglement. Man, the second physics says that two things can exist at the same place. I mean, one thing can exist in two places at once. Then it's just a matter of scale before you get to just hop in the phone booth and you're on Alpha Centauri B, where there's a Class M planet that has a lot of cool fish that people want to do. You know, I mean, I don't think humanity is going. Well, humanity probably is going away. I'm with Dan. He bummed me out. It's Friday.
All right, guys.
Fuck everybody.
Mankind's over.
Next week we'll talk about.
Have you ever tried to write a sci-fi story? Hey Mario, you know what I do for a living, right?
He's just trying to defend himself. Come on.
So true. I mean, this is the argument today about pouring resources into pie in the sky, outer space Star Trek dreams when we got hungry people right here, and so many problems.
That's such a. I hate that argument so much. It's like we can't do two things. Dan, you of all people know juggling is a possibility. You know.
Well, to be honest, I want us to say fuck the world's problems. Like pour all of our resources into this stuff.
Yeah, that's what Elon Musk did. That's the Elon Musk. He's like, yeah, we just need to get off the planet. Yeah. I'm like, yeah, dude, absolutely.
Well, that's why I think the whole China thing is funny. They don't have a long view of anything because they're just spitting shit into the world and going, hey, sorry about Beijing, everybody.
Their long view is, we got another COVID outbreak.
Yeah.
Sorry.
I just think they've got a projection of power that they don't care. Like we kowtow to them so much in the sense of like, oh, Taiwan, oh yeah, that's not its own country. Oh, but it is. Oh, but it is. Oh, but when push comes to shove, it's not. It's Chinese, right? And it's
No, it's an independent country.
It's not though. According to China, it is not.
According to China, according to me, there's 3 New Jerseys.
And according to John Cena, it's absolutely not.
There's
right?
3 New Jerseys. Is that what you said?
Yeah, there's North Jersey, South Jersey, Central Jersey.
Well, I know the state, and then there's Jeff Goldblum's character in Buckaroo Banzai. But what's the third one?
Bruce Willis.
Bruce Willis,
obviously.
Yeah, I just love Andrew's just like reduced to LOL.
Better man. Drink some
like, dude, go to the doctor. Take some ibuprofen or something, man. Your brain proteins are congealing.
Well, R.I.P. Nichelle. You're an amazing person. I love you. I'll miss you forever. You're a very strong female role model in a world that needs strong female role models. R.I.P.
Can I?
You guys hear that? You guys hear that?
Wait. Let me tie up for Nichelle Nichols too. She's obviously a beautiful woman, but she was like my hot aunt. You know what I mean? She was like in control. She was bridge crew. I was more about Dr. Helen Noel and stuff in a pre-adolescent stage. I'm like, Uhura was like, I'm not messing with her. I'm not in her class at all. So that's my highest praise as an adult now, even. You know, so I think, yeah, the world lost a cool cat. Anyway.
I agree. And to go out today, guys, I've got a Nichelle Nichols clip.
Nice hat.
I got a nice Nichelle Nichols clip today for us to go out on. I think that proves maybe more than all the other actors and people involved with Star Trek. She really had a spiritual side. She really, she was doing her part. She really wanted to like help people spiritually. I mean, she helped people. And I've got just the video here. But first, before we do, guys, next week I'm out on Friday, but I think we're gonna do the Dr. John and Larry show, right? So
that's the plan so far. We're gonna the inmates are taking over the asylum.
Hell yeah!
Yeah,
we'll probably just be me and John like smoking corncob pipes, going, "Hey, what's going on, John?" He's like, "Oh, my dog ate my hat again."
Like you could talk as much smack as you want about Dan's dilithium theories.
We love you, man. We love you.
Like, what's that smell that always comes out of engineering? I don't know.
Little bit funky down here.
That's Ferengi sativa, I think.
So anyway, next Friday, you guys will be back. Next Thursday, I'm hoping to do. It could be the last $1 million mailbox, Larry, because I think I'm down to my last thing in the mailbox. So it's going to be the last one for some time, I think.
Is that official, or you just like you don't think there's stuff coming? Because oh my god, I just bought a $10 mini comic at Hibbs's, and I want to talk about that because
let's do it.
I'm outraged. It's a mini comic. I paid $10 by accident.
I got a bunch of stuff though that I've been buying and sending away for her, and it's coming into the $1 million mailbox, so we can look at some of that. It's all indie, kooky, crazy stuff. You got time next Thursday, Larry?
Yeah. Oh, hell yeah. Yes. I love it. Yeah.
We're booking it. Comic $1 million mailbox next Thursday, and there will be a serious Star Trek, The Search for Dantron, perhaps next week.
Dude, book it. That's great. The Search for Dantron.
But until then,
you have always been our friend.
Maybe not after you see this clip, guys, because I'm about to show the serious, sensitive side of Nichelle Nichols, and maybe we're going to lose all of our audience and goodwill. But we will be back. Wait a minute. We're going to be back Friday. We're going to be back at noon. But John Price, where will we be?
Ooh, what are we? The internet, I believe.
Hi, I'm Nichelle Nichols, and I want to introduce you to a new and different kind of psychic service. It's called Psychic Encounters. Now with Psychic Encounters, you can develop a personal bond of trust with a psychic who understands your needs and can help guide you to a happy and prosperous future. George Bloom called and won a fortune in the Florida State Lottery. Michelle Fabiani called and met her Prince Charming just a few days later. Callers to Psychic Encounters have been impressed.
This was the best psychic reading I've ever had.
It touched me more deeply than any reading I'd ever had before.
It definitely changed my mind about phone psychics.
She was actually telling me things about myself, private things.
The psychic knows what she's talking about.
In just a few short minutes, you'll get the answers you need. Don't wonder, don't worry, and don't wait. The answers are just a phone call away.
Must be a teen call now.